Have you ever seen Interstellar?
Yeah.
So would you ever be one of those astronauts? Like, would you risk your life to save the human race?
0%.
What? 0?
Yeah.
Wow. What if it was just a fun trip for like 20 years? Like you came back
if
alive.
it's more for leisure.
Would you pay a half penny for it?
A halfpenny?
Half. Yeah, exactly. A half penny.
Yeah, I might. If it's for leisure, if it's actually for like a vacation, yeah, I might. But if there's some strings attached and those strings are saving this awful species, no, I'm out.
Not interested.
Yeah,
I'm out. All right.
Also, hot take: Inception is better than Interstellar.
That's not a hot take.
Apparently, it is in all the circles that I'm.
Well, you're in the wrong circles.
Thank
That's
you.
not a hot
I
take.
appreciate that. Wow.
Not a hot take.
To agree on that.
Good. Well, that was easy. That's not a good start for the show.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Well, that's fine. All right. Welcome back to the Locker Room. We're here, 35th episode, the 35th edition of the Locker Room.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's our 35th.
Wow.
Yeah, it's presented by Spokane Talks. I'm your host, Justin Reed, alongside Andrew Tenney. And we're about to have some fun. Even though we missed last week, we apologize for that.
Yeah, sorry.
Because I'm trying to adjust the microphone here. I should have done this before the show.
You know who we're sponsored by?
I don't, actually. I kind of forgot.
Okay,
It's been so
perfect.
long.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Had a week off. Let me remind you that this show is sponsored by Lucky Bird, a Spokane-based e-commerce and digital marketing company dedicated to helping local companies scale in the online world of e-commerce and digital marketing. We want you guys to go and visit luckybirdbrands.com to have a down-to-earth, no-pressure conversation about all of your digital marketing and e-commerce strategies today. So there you go. How was the reminder?
What'd you just say?
Yeah, that sounded gibberish. How was the reminder?
Oh, the reminder. How was your reminder? Good. Yeah. I do love Lucky Bird. It makes me very happy.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of it.
Okay.
Are we live right now?
I doubt it.
I don't know. Yeah, we're live. Oh, all right. Well, I'll keep looking, I guess. All right, here we are. Another episode of the Locker Room. Tiger Woods. We didn't have a chance to talk about him last week because we didn't have a show, but here we are, Tiger Woods, still in the hospital with some brutal leg injuries. Mm-hmm. That was some interesting news. That was very Kobe Bryant-esque the morning that happened.
It was strange.
Everybody was freaking out, and I get it. Like, Tiger Woods means a lot to a lot of people. It's crazy that ESPN literally on SportsCenter the entire day, like, talked about the same thing the entire day.
It was super redundant. There weren't a lot of new developments. All that we learned is that there were like lower body injuries. I think that was the only thing we learned over the course of the day. Yeah, I thought that was a little over the top, a little unnecessary to just have constant coverage because of the fact that there were no updates. What did you think about the tribute or whatever you want to call it?
Where they all wear
that everybody on Sunday, wore red. Yeah,
it was cool. I kind of thought about that beforehand. I was like, because I knew that they had a pretty big tournament coming up that weekend. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it looked cool too. Like when I was watching, I was like, that's actually like pleasing to see. Mm-hmm. Like the whole just red on black, everybody just, I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was kind of nice to have the similarities, but it was a cool thing for them to show. And he tweeted out like a thank you message saying like that's keeping him going or whatever. And it's like, dude, you're not dying, but like I
see that was the only thing that I thought was kind of weird. Like if he had
fair.
passed, I think
that's a good take.
Be a little bit more appropriate to pay tribute.
I
get it. It's tragic and it's unfortunate, but
it's a little morbid when you think about it that way. Like it is. It's like, and then a lot of people came on and they're like, well, what about his golf career? And it's like he hasn't had a golf career in a decade. He's won one major. Like I mean. And I don't get me wrong, Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods, but let's not pretend that he's some world beater at the moment. So
Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods.
He is Tiger Woods. So some of the exactly it's true.
Hot take.
Some of the stuff that happened that day. So he left at I think 7:12 a.m. He left his hotel, and then he rolled his Genesis. And according to police, it's a particularly dangerous stretch of roadway in L.A. They don't think impairment is a factor, but yesterday they did announce that they are waiting to get they're trying to get the black box from the car, which determines how fast the car was going, how the brakes were applied, the steering wheel angle. I mean, all sorts of different things that I guess new cars can do, which is kind of interesting. Does it not seem odd to you? How many times at 7 in the morning have you been like, I almost just rolled my car? Right? Like, it just doesn't happen all that often. Like,
wasn't he speeding off to get somewhere? Was he late?
I don't know if he was late, but he was going to, I think, like some Discovery Channel TV show where he was teaching other famous people how to golf.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, he was meeting up. I don't remember who. There was two big stars he was meeting up with. But, like, really, single vehicle rollover crashes in perfect weather don't happen.
Also, didn't the car belong to like one of the
It was like a sponsor car somehow.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't
that.
actually his because I was going to say nobody would drive that car, you know,
Yeah,
especially
it was
when you
like
have that
Tiger
much
Woods
money.
is driving a Genesis.
Yeah, not a chance. So I just think it's really odd. But he did suffer compound open fractures on both the upper and lower portions of his right tibia and fibula. Needed a rod and screws and pins. He had trauma to a nearby muscle and soft tissue, which required doctors to surgically release the muscle to reduce swelling and safeguard potential infection. Injury to the talus bone, which connects to the bottom of the leg to the foot, the pivot point. There was no specifics what happened to his left leg, but I'd have to guess that one also got crunched.
Yeah, probably.
That car was mangled and just absolutely destroyed. Yeah, so I just can't get past the fact that he rolled his car at 7:12 in the morning or 7:20 in the morning. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like you think about the worst stretch of road in Spokane or wherever you live, wherever you live where you're watching this. Where would you ever roll your car in like today? It's a beautiful day today. Just seems odd.
Yeah, it
seems
weird.
very odd. But he is recovering. He is expected to be okay. We'll see if he gets back to golf. He just had back surgery. Like 6 months ago.
I know.
I don't think he's ever going to return to the pro stage.
It's really unfortunate.
I think he's going to have to go to the seniors.
It's really.
I think he's going to have to go play with all of them.
Young age.
All right, let's keep this good news rolling. Remember that one
seriously.
time the Mariners president / CEO had to step down because he made bad comments about his club? I do.
Yes, I do recall.
It was this awesome team of the jersey that I'm wearing. You know, the team that hasn't made the playoffs in 20 years, and we always just expect them to do better. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh wait, this isn't just the fact that our players suck, but wait, our front office and management also blows.
Booyah.
That part sucks. That part really sucks. Because like when you look at an organization, like if the Seahawks were a bad football team, at least you know that like John Schneider's a good GM.
Mm-hmm.
The Allen ownership group is a good ownership group. Like they have done good things for the city of Seattle, and they built a brand new stadium. I know the Mariners bought a brand new stadium around 2000 as well, but I mean just world class everything around the organization. So like if the Seahawks were bad, it's not like I wish we had a good ownership group who could potentially pull us out of the doldrums of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, the Mariners are just. They do everything wrong.
Well, the majority of the time when you have bad ownership in any, professional sports league, it trickles down throughout. And it's rare that
it's a disease.
The front office or the players or coaches or whoever is able to overcome the inadequacies.
Right.
So, yeah, how do you feel as a Mariners fan?
It was not a great day when that was released. It was really interesting, actually, because a longtime Mariners fan even said that he was, like, super late at night. He was just going through YouTube, scratching the bottom of the barrel of YouTube videos. And he found this video that was just posted, had one view from the Bellevue Rotary Club. And this is where Kevin Mather, former CEO, president of the Seattle Mariners, ended up making remarks about, for instance, former pitcher Hisashi Iwakuma, who was just hired in January as a special assignment coach with the club, said that he was tired of paying $75,000 a year for a Japanese English interpreter.
Ooh.
Let's extrapolate that out a little bit. Mather's been with the club since 96. Okay. Do you know who else was on the Mariners who needed a Japanese interpreter between the time of 1996 and today? Oh, that's right. It's Ichiro. One of the franchises in baseball's all-time greats. Mm-hmm. So if he's complaining about having to pay an interpreter, imagine what he said about Ichiro's interpreter that he had to spend $75,000 plus a year on.
For how many years?
For how many years, right? Mm-hmm. And then he goes on to trash talk Julio Rodriguez, who is ranked by ESPN's Kylie McDaniel as MLB's number 9 ranked prospect. The first thing he said was, he has a personality bigger than all of you combined. He is loud. His English is not tremendous. God forbid we talk about how amazing he is at baseball for being 19 years old, and the fact that he's larger than Nelson Cruz and faster and more athletic. But God, his English sucks. His English is so bad. And then he talked about how the team really only cares about its bottom line. Finances are more important than winning. You know what happens when you win? You make more money.
Crazy concept.
Wow. That's really wild, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then he talked about how they manipulated service time of the Mariners' top prospects, which everybody in baseball already knew. Everybody in baseball already knew that happened, yet he said it. Well, it's going to be great come December when the MLB and the MLB Players Association have their new CBA negotiations, and they go into a strike.
Boy. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so much fun. I love when sports go on strike. So, yeah, the Mariners are not great. Mariners fans were quietly engaging in Jubilee celebrations when Kevin Mather decided to step down. I think it was last Monday. Yet, they didn't do that much to make the Mariners fans feel safer and more secure in their team. Are you ready for a new season? They tied the Cubs yesterday 8-8.
I actually caught a little bit of that game too.
Good.
Yeah. So what's up with these jerseys that they're wearing? Are those
They're
new?
spring
Or
training
is it a spring
jerseys.
training thing?
They're slightly.
Because I think I like them more than most of their usual, like better than that color.
You like it better than this?
What would you call them? Baby blues?
A little bit. They're a little baby blue.
Powder
I
blues.
like them.
Yeah.
Powder's probably
yeah.
a perfect way to
No,
describe it. I do like
very
them.
into them.
I like their spring. See, the Mariners have really good jerseys, I think. I think overall from top to bottom, they're home, they're away, they're Sunday alternates, they're regular alternates, they're throwbacks. These jerseys, the Mariners have that. That's the one thing I think they do a really good job with is branding. I think the Mariners have a good logo, and they have for a long time. But I do like those jerseys. And that game yesterday was interesting. It was funny. Did you see when Jared Klenick hit his home run?
I did not.
So Scott Service, the manager of the Mariners, was being interviewed while Klenick was up to bat, and he was talking like, Jared's going to let us know when he's ready to go to the next level. Like, we're going to let us know when he's ready, and then he just goes out and hits a bomb.
Nice.
I mean, opposite field, just
How do you feel about those like in-game interviews?
I love them. The fact that baseball has an issue on its hand where it's not fun. It's not interesting.
Correct.
And the fact that they don't allow those in-game, in-club, or in-dugout interviews is a shame. And they even mentioned that on the broadcast, actually. I'm not going to remember her name, Mendoza. The woman who was on.
It's not Michelle. Yeah.
Jesse Mendoza? I'm going to get her name right. Jessica. It is Jessica. Jessica Mendoza. Former American Olympian, softball stud. Talked about how she wishes that they could have these in-dugout, in-game interviews more because it does add a new layer to what's going on in the game. I do love that. Spring training is fun, except for the fact, have you seen that they can flip innings now? Have you seen that rule?
Yeah, explain that to me. What is the
deal?
deal?
Essentially what happens in any one inning, if a pitcher reaches 20 pitches in 1/2 inning, the manager of that pitcher can flip the inning, and the inning's over.
And this is exclusive to spring training,
yes,
though, right?
correct.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's
interesting.
And allegedly it's to protect pitchers' health, which I guess is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really lame, even in spring training, when you have a guy on second and third with one out.
And the coach flips the inning.
Manager's like, nope, we're done. Wrap her up. Let's go to the next half inning here. Mariners play today. You probably won't be able to see or hear them. Typical spring training. Mariners do play today against the Rockies here in about an hour and a half. Seattle's the favorite.
All right.
Spring training favorite over the Colorado Rockies. But we are having fun as a Mariners fan.
When's opening day?
Opening day should be here in a couple weeks. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I always think it's weird when it starts in March. When I grew up, I always thought like the
April.
first couple days of April.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks like they open their season. $10 it's not at home because they never open at home, which is incredibly frustrating. They open their season. Okay, that did not tell me anything.
Perfect.
I'm going to let you know while we move on here
Awesome.
to some NBA talk. We have the NBA All-Star Weekend coming up this week.
Yeah, we do. How excited are you?
You know, the NBA does arguably the best job at doing events outside of the actual All-Star game, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The three-point competition, as well as the skills challenge, as well as the not so much anymore in my opinion, but still the dunk contest. I think the dunk contest hasn't been nearly as good as
I don't understand their method for choosing dunk contest contestants. I don't understand it because it's always like the strangest array of guys. They're usually not super relevant. I mean, I guess you had Blake Griffin back in the day and like Zach LaVine, who hadn't turned into what he is right now.
Yeah.
First time being an All-Star. And they just like Anthony Simons, like seriously from Portland, and like Cassius Stanley, I think is one of the other dudes' names. It's like, I don't even know who you are. I don't know. I guess it's purely based on athleticism and like potential or like explosiveness, I would think. But it's always really strange to see the people that choose. I'm sure they offer it to a wider range of players, but I guess
a lot of people I feel like just don't want to do it for some reason. I'm not sure why. Because look back in the day, if you were in the dunk contest and you won the dunk contest, you were an absolute star.
That was a huge deal.
Like,
yeah.
When Vince Carter was in the dunk competition. That was must-see TV.
Or Nate Robinson.
Multiple times. Absolute must-watch TV. And now, like you said, there's a bunch of scrubs. Not so much the fact that they can't jump or dunk, because they can, but nobody wants to see a guy who they haven't seen play all season, or they haven't seen ESPN even mention once all season, dunk a basketball.
Yeah, and it was really weird, too. I forget who I was watching, but he tried to make the parallel for the NBA and players neglecting to go in or opt in for the dunk contest to MLB All-Stars not wanting to participate in the home run derby because it screws up their swing. And I didn't really understand that comparison. I don't understand how dunking – I mean, maybe there's truth to it. I just really don't get it. But – dunking a basketball, how that could throw off any sort of rhythm of any aspect of your game. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other, because even like the 3-point competition, you're not changing anything, so it's completely different than like the home run derby makes sense. I get that. I really do. Still, don't be I still wish they would, suck it up and be like, I can fix my swing because I'm only taking 50 hacks here. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I'm a professional baseball player.
That one is 100% more understandable.
It
though.
is,
you
for sure.
can see, yeah.
So they have a fun weekend planned ahead coming up. A few Zags made the Rising Stars team. Rui Hachimura as well as Brennan Clark will be on that team, along with Zion Williamson, I think. So that's a pretty loaded Rising Stars team.
3-point competition is pretty loaded too.
Yeah, it is. It should be a fun weekend. We have a few comments here. Looks like it's my buddies just yelling back and forth at each other.
Perfect.
They oh wow, Josh Geiger, man, I'm a huge fan of the show. That's nice.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's asking if this is his
Shout out
jersey,
Josh.
which it's not, because he never lets me borrow his jerseys except for once. Also, my buddy Eric Bierkestrand here, also in the comments. What's really cool about him is this show is his baby, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he was the one who started it, and then he invited me and my buddy AJ Christensen onto the show.
And then you hijacked it.
And then I hijacked it when
Perfect.
he moved to Boston. The show is The Locker Room with Eric B., Reed, and AJ. Pretty awesome times. He lives in Boston. Have fun in Boston, Eric. Have a good day. He works for Drizzly.
Oh, really?
Drizzly? Yeah, he's like a territory salesperson over in that area, but he has set up the Drizzly in Spokane. So all the Drizzly you've been doing with, like, it was his doing.
Nice.
Or if you've ever done it. But
yeah, I have.
Good. That means you're not drinking and driving in theory.
Correct. In theory.
So, all right, let's look at the all-star list here. Any snubs? Anything that sticks out right away?
I figured you were going to bitch about
You want me to
Sabonis,
complain?
but
I'll get to
basically
Sabonis in a second.
everybody that there was actually a conversation to have about being snubbed ended up getting in due to injuries, and that's most of the time how it happens anyway. So
I almost feel like the NBA kind of plans that, like they know what they're doing. It stirs up people, and then
they know
like,
how the dominoes are going to fall.
They're actually on the team.
I do like a trend that I certainly saw this year. I think it has kind of begun to take place over the past couple of years, but with people complaining about players being snubbed from the All-Star game, if you're going to complain and say that somebody's snubbed, like the rule is you have to choose who they would replace, like who doesn't make it. And I think that's how it should be. So, like, when you go down the list to see everybody that made it, I mean, is there anybody that you would have replaced with a Sabonis or a Devin Booker before they got in due to injury?
Anyone who shouldn't have made it, essentially?
Yeah. Like, did you have any qualms with who made it, like Zach LaVine or a Zion Williamson or Chris Paul over in the West?
I mean, see, the problem, this is the issue, especially with the NBA, because the rosters are so small.
And there are only 12 spots.
Right, I know.
That's not even as much as, like, an entire NBA roster.
I know. It's actually kind of, I think it's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, Chris Paul's having a good year. He's not having a great statistical year, but he's doing what he's done his entire career, where he goes to a team that's middling, like the Suns, and he's made them great.
Mm-hmm. He's made them his team. They play his basketball.
I mean, and I think you mentioned
slow.
this before the show, like Booker hasn't had as statistical of a great season as he did last year, but because Chris Paul's there, he's making the other people around him better.
Yeah, and now the Suns are second in the West.
Right. I mean, I'm looking up and down the list. There's not anyone that really just yells.
Poor Mike Conley, man. He's going to go down as like one of the best players ever to not make an All-Star game. Also, CJ McCollum, he's been injured the majority of the season, but he's yet to make an All-Star team too, right?
I don't think so, man.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
He's an absolute stud. I watched that Blazers game last night, and they're definitely missing CJ McCollum for sure, even though they ended up winning.
Is Chris Middleton like the least sexy good player in the NBA?
Probably.
I don't know. There's something about
Because-
him. It's his number. It's his.
Yeah, what number is he?
I think
He's
22.
yeah, like a weird.
Yeah, I
number
don't.
stands out.
I don't even know actually.
I hate All-Star games because my biggest problem I have with them is it's all a popularity contest in the end.
Well, and the way they divvy up the voting between the fans
Right.
and the media and then the coaches is strange too.
It's very strange. Well, the NBA I think is the only league that does media All-Star voting, though, as far as I understand. So that's nice, but at the same time, it's a small percentage compared. Like you shouldn't be able to retweet a tweet 50 times and get 5,000 votes for one person.
That's ridiculous.
Like, I mean, I could, because this is what I would do if I was a NBA player who was making a couple $1 million a year. I would find somebody like you and be like, hey man, for the next hour, I'm going to give you $1,000. I want you to retweet this tweet on this burner account that I'm giving you, and I want to make this All-Star game. And you would do it.
Yeah.
For $1,000 for an hour, you're just retweeting a tweet.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. That's probably what some of them do.
No, I know.
For sure. Because every single one of these guys have burner accounts. Heck, I've thought about starting a burner account.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Well, because the problem with Twitter
The problem. Yeah. Let's get to it.
is you can't, especially when your Twitter is like a professional aspect of your life, which mine is. There's things you can't say. Like you can't just like reach out. Like you can't
really?
just say, as in like, and what I mean by that is you can't respond to someone's story or whatever and be like, you're an idiot. Like I can't do that, and I'd love to do that sometimes.
I bet you would.
I would absolutely love to do that.
Getting a little Twitter spat.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
I would love to be featured on Freezing Cold Takes if I had to. I mean, worst case, I get caught, and it's like that's not even really me. So, yeah, I don't know. The NBA All-Star Game's fine.
They don't even want to play in
They
this
don't.
year,
It's
so
gonna
I'm
be
really
even worse than
and
it usually is,
It's
though.
too bad too because last season with the Elam ending actually provided like stakes, and they got intense in the
Right.
last few minutes of the game, and they were actually trying. They were actually playing defense. They were actually trying to take the ball to the rim rather than just lobbing it up with no defense or
Right.
just jacking up half court threes. So that's kind of unfortunate because I thought that the NBA really caught on to something with that ending.
think so,
I don't even
too.
know if they're doing it this year or not. I haven't looked into it
I-
or heard
that's a good
anything about
question.
it, but given the fact that the players don't even want to play, it's hard for me to imagine that they would do that. But
Yeah.
it'll be a nice break-ish for the players, I guess. A little reprieve very early on in the season because they're not even at the halfway point yet,
Right,
which is
which is
wild
really
to
weird.
think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we'll talk more because the All-Star Game is this weekend. So next week we'll do like a halfway point update on the NBA because, like you said, it's not quite halfway, but next week we'll be pretty close.
Basically, in the East right now, it's just the Sixers and the Nets, and then I mean, both LA teams, the Suns and the Jazz, over in the West. So.
The West is definitely more powerful from top to bottom.
Well, okay, Boston just got back into the 4 seed after being
Hey,
the Clippers.
here we
Yeah,
go.
What's up?
Get loud.
They're the there are only 4 teams in the East that have a record above 500. The fourth being Boston, which is a major drop off from Milwaukee, who's 7 games above 500. Boston just got to 1 game above 500. So
They're there.
It's rough. It's really rough in the
I don't
East,
know
but
what their
that's
problem
typically
is.
the case.
But
Well, none of these teams, they're so exhausted. Could you imagine, like, just the way that the schedule has been structured this season, and then coming off of, a lot of these teams were in the bubble. A lot of the teams, went pretty deep and late into the season.
well, look what it's doing to the Heat.
Well, exactly. I mean,
Have they recovered at all? Where are they at?
yeah, they're back in the playoff seed, like in the top 8 seeds. They're 7 right now at 17 and 18.
They'll
So
make
they have clawed back.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs, but yeah, they're struggling still overall. All right. Remember that one time the NHL was like remember that one time the NHL was like, "Hey, let's have an outdoor NHL game." They're sexy. They look really good. And now they do. They really do.
They're cool as hell.
But unfortunately, the NHL forgot about that giant floating ball of gas that sits however millions of miles away from us. That thing's pretty hot. Last time I checked, the sun melts ice. Heat melts ice.
Yeah, I think that checks out. Let me do the math. Yeah.
So what happened is during this game, I was watching this whole debacle because, and I'll talk about this in a second, but I've been watching a lot of NHL recently, and I watched this whole debacle. Here at Lake Tahoe is where they decided to have these 2 games. They had 2 games scheduled. Both ended up getting played. But the problem is they played 1 period, and then all of a sudden, players were falling all over the place. Referees, players. What a beautiful – I mean, look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the water was bright blue. You have the mountain background. The sun, that giant hot ball was floating there, melting the ice. Players started to fall down. they started having injury concerns. The commissioner of the NHL and the associate commissioner of the NHL were both there. GMs for both teams were there. And they decided to postpone the game until that big hot ball of gas went down. And then the ice wouldn't be dangerous.
Smart move. I don't know. Why did they not just schedule it? I mean,
I have no idea.
They could have done it in the afternoon, too, where the sun's only going to be out for maybe 30 minutes.
I'd love to know who got reamed for making that decision. I know for a fact the NHL commissioner sitting there in the sun, in the middle, he's like, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well at all. And it didn't. It didn't go well.
There's something that's just so satisfying about it, though, because it's almost so hockey that they did this and that it happened. And they're like, the sun,
Well, think about it. There is no other sport on the face of the planet where you get delayed by the sun.
Yeah.
The nice weather delayed their game. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't happen. So 8-hour delay. They played at night, and then the next game after them played as well. Things went perfectly. Now they know, don't play the game when the sun is beating down on it and the weather is above freezing.
I mean, I guess they wouldn't have had that beautiful view without the sun, though.
Right.
We wouldn't have got those 6 screenshots.
We wouldn't have, and that's a good point. Thanks for doing it, at least for that.
Thanks for the entertainment value. I mean, that was something
That was beautiful. So one thing I do want to say, so I had an epiphany a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
The NHL will be a larger part of my life moving forward.
All right. Why is that?
I'm really pumped, actually. I've been binge watching as much NHL as possible over the last
the puck
week
now?
and a half. I am a lot better. It's actually pretty crazy. You have, just based off of the players' movements, you can tell kind of what's going on a little bit more. So with the Kraken right around the corner, I am so in on the NHL. It's not even funny. I'm really surprised by the lack of interest in the NHL because it's actually pretty impressive. These guys are athletes. These guys are bona fide athletes. So I just wanted you to know.
Okay,
I'm a big NHL guy now.
Epiphany.
There's
You're
not
gonna watch
many
more NHL.
So I'm a fan now of all the major sports. I haven't been able to say that before. So I'm excited. I'm a big NHL guy now. Big hockey guy.
Okay.
I wish they had let them fight more. I get the whole we're scared of head injuries and concussions, but players play. Let them do what they want to do. Yesterday? Did you see? No, I didn't actually upload this video. I was watching the Washington Capitals yesterday, and Alex Ovechkin. There was this young kid on the other team, and I'm not gonna remember who they were playing. And he kept trying to fight Ovechkin. He literally.
Really?
So they kind of got tied up a little bit. This kid, he literally was just drafted in the first round of this year out of Wisconsin. He dropped his gloves and he's grabbing Ovechkin by his neck collar. And Ovechkin's literally just standing there staring at the guy. And this guy's yanking on him, and he has just no interest at all in fighting this guy.
So would you? He's 50.
Oh yeah, but he would kill you. This guy has a missing tooth.
Yeah,
he would
exactly.
kill you.
You don't screw around with
Later
that.
in the game, this guy continues to mess with Ovechkin. Kept trying to bug him and just be a young kid. And Ovechkin literally took his stick and whacked him right in the balls. They literally sent this kid to the ice.
I don't know how this wasn't all over Twitter. I did not see this. No,
it was awesome. It was so awesome.
Right.
NHL is the only sport you can do that in. You do that in any other sport, and you're out and you're suspended. The NHL's like that.
Or if you're Devin Booker and you bounce the ball a little too hard at a ref, you get ejected.
That's my jabroni. Stop it, jeez,
shit.
dude. Jeez. All right.
Why don't you do an ad read or something?
I am so pumped for Lake City Hauling. Lake City Hauling are some of my best friends, and I want you to know that if you are working on a remodeling or a cleanup project, let Lake City Hauling help. Save yourself a stressful trip to the dump by letting them haul all of these small and big items for you. They will remove it all. They'll take your unwanted trash, branches, yard waste, furniture, appliances, and anything else you have just laying around that dirty old house of yours, or clean house, whatever you got. They offer same-day pickup, and check out their reviews on Google. Surprise, they're 5 stars, and continue to see why customers come back to Lake City Hauling. They offer junk removal, dumpster rentals, and demolition in the Kootenai County area. If you are outside of those areas, including Spokane County or any other county that is not Kootenai County, still give them a call at 208-425-4130 and ask for more information. Keep them in mind for any demolition project or cleanup project. Again, their number is 208-425-4130, and check out their website here, which that you see is lakecityhauling.com. Exactly how it sounds is exactly how it is spelled. So if you mess it up, that's on you, not me.
Beautiful.
Do you know whose ads I hate, actually?
There are too many
Sorry,
contenders.
not company. Not a company, but a show who does ads, sports show that I just don't like.
Give it to me.
I don't like the way that the Herd does their ads on air for 2 reasons. First, I think they're corny. Coward does an okay. I mean, he does a good job at presenting them, but I think they're just kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, they always do their trivia questions during his ad reads, and their trivia questions are so stupidly easy.
Are they?
Because it literally, let's say they're talking about Russell Wilson, and like the last 10 minutes has all been Russell Wilson. The trivia question will be like, which quarterback has thrown the most touchdowns since 2015? And it's like Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and whatever. And it's like, it's always the guy they were just talking about every single time.
Get Up actually has some pretty decent ones.
Do they actually? That's surprising.
Yeah, they do.
I hate that show. I hate that show.
You got a little too much Mike Greenberg in your life, who is now going to be hosting the NFL draft. It's like there is no job. Yeah, you didn't see that. There is. I didn't know this was going to set you off.
That ruins my life. Trey Wingo. The fact that they fired Trey Wingo and they're hiring Mike Greenberg to host the NFL draft now is absolutely
really a Trey Wingo guy,
terrible.
though.
I'm not a big Trey Wingo guy. I am during the NFL draft, though. Like, Trey Wingo and the NFL draft go hand in hand with me. That would be like taking Mel Kiper Jr. off of the NFL draft on ESPN.
Close, yeah.
That's like taking off.
Mike Greenberg could do it, though.
Chris
he could be the new
Mortensen.
Mel Kiper.
No, he can't. He sucks. He was the worst part of Mike and Mike.
ESPN's just like drowning, and they're
terrible.
throwing their life around.
They're literally losing their top end talent to everybody else.
I know.
Everybody else is taking their best talent.
I will say, I do think they have better NBA analysts than almost anybody else. At least just Tim Legler, and like I think Richard Jefferson is actually pretty good. But like NBA TV and TNT, hot garbage. Like the fact that Shaq and Chuck.
Yes, I get that. But they're.
As far as entertainment goes, it's good, but you can tell that they do not watch basketball.
No, they don't care. They don't care.
They don't care at all.
Like, that's the best part, though, is because it's obvious. But they're like ESPN pretends that they care about who presents their shows, but they don't. Like that's the thing. TNT knows what they're getting with Shaq and Barkley. Also, and ESPN's pretending that they know what they're doing.
I've had too much Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky is the worst.
Over the place, and he sucks.
He is so bad. NFL Live used to be an amazing show.
I like Laura Rutledge
she's
as the
okay.
host.
She's okay.
I think she's pretty damn good.
She's
Marcus
better than
Spears
the
is
rest.
all right.
Terrible.
Oh.
I hate him.
Okay.
He's better than Orlovsky, though.
He's better than Orlovsky.
And Mia Kimes is fine, except for the fact that she doesn't look at the camera when she's talking to the audience.
All right.
But she has good takes, and she's a Seahawks fan, so she can literally say whatever she wants in the history of whatever, and I will be like, that's a great take, Mina.
She's smart with football. Dan Orlovsky is not, and he has hitched his wagon to Carson Wentz, which is probably the most abominable thing.
The worst thing that sports media has ever done is thinking that every single NFL quarterback makes a good analyst.
Right.
Orlovsky sucks. Chris Sims sucks. A lot of people don't like Romo.
I don't know how Sims has had like the rise that he's had at NBC. I don't get it at all.
He literally goes from a bottom feeder guy at Bleacher Report before they're bought by Turner Sports. Turner Sports buys Bleacher Report. Chris Sims and Adam Levko, I want to say.
I don't even know who that is. So
he's the guy who does NBA now. On
on TNT.
Yeah,
the guy that's like the makeshift Ernie.
He's really plain looking.
Yeah, okay.
And he's not Ernie Johnston.
Yeah, he's not.
He sucks.
Nobody is.
The Levko and Sim show was not good. Yeah, so
God, I miss Trent Dilfer. I feel like Trent Dilfer was actually
Dilfer's
good.
Dimes was one of the best segments ESPN has ever done.
No, and he actually because he occasionally comes on Rosillo's show and he breaks down stuff, and it's just like, dude, this is so like ESPN needs this so badly, and like I think Tim Hasselbeck, like even though he's not the biggest personality, he at least knows what he's talking about, and I feel like he's not on enough, and they just because they're going for entertainment value. Too bad the guys they have on there are not that entertaining. Yeah. Also, if you're white and bald, there's a pretty good chance you're gonna be on TV talking about sports.
Right. There's a very good chance.
So
there's an announcer, and this is actually really cool. He did the NHL game. No, he did the Mariners spring training game yesterday. I'm not gonna remember his name. He's the play-by-play for the Cubs, though. Sorry, the White Sox. And he has cerebral palsy, and he's like one of the top upcoming announcers for ESPN.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was really cool. Really nice. Really nice. All right. So now that I got over, I'm actually never gonna get over the fact that Trey Wingo is being.
Yeah, I'm sorry to really put a damper on your day. I figured you knew.
No, I did not know. Thanks. Very much appreciated. All right. Some good news. Zags killed it this regular season. 24-0. Didn't really have too many problems with anybody throughout the entire season. Their Ken Palm efficiency ratings are absolutely blowing through the roof. They're sitting at plus 36.80. Almost 5 whole points better than second place Baylor and almost 5 points better than third place Michigan. After that, there's a pretty good drop-off. The biggest drop-off comes when you hit number 7 Ohio State, who sits at plus 25.67. Zags have top 10 offense, top 10 defense. They're actually number 1 in adjusted offense, number 10 in adjusted defense. They're looking good, obviously. The biggest.
Are they peaking too soon?
What do you say?
Are they peaking too soon?
I don't think so. This team is built different, and I know like a lot of people want to talk.
Hell up. I can't believe I cannot.
Right,
the producer
right.
just like,
I know, right? That's why. That's literally why. That's literally why I said it. Like I know it comes off so stupid and so overused, but honestly though, for whatever reason, like, you look at the teams who came off of COVID breaks, right? Like Baylor's big excuse before they actually lost was, we just hadn't played in 13 days. It's like Zags came back after like a 10-day break and stomped Iowa.
It's true.
And I know Iowa ended up not being quite as good. They're still 9th in efficiency of the second best offense behind the Zags on Ken Palm, by the way. I don't know if I said that earlier. And it's just surprising to me to see the Zags continue to put up massive points and massive point differentials because their defense really took a step forward. The best thing about Ken Palm's efficiency ratings is it actually does take into account opponent strength. So their defense being 10th and their offense being 1 isn't just a product of them playing the West Coast Conference teams because it is adjusted based off of the opponent. So really, we before last week, we had this whole idea of who would be the biggest threat to GU. Since then, both Baylor and Michigan lost. Baylor had a decent game. They still lost, but Michigan got stomped by Illinois.
Yes.
Absolutely stomped. And it was very surprising because Michigan was a very sexy
Michigan was
team.
rolling.
Really rolling. They were talking about
dangerous.
Julian Howard and how awesome of a transformation he's had. They have I think they have the number 1 draft class next year. And not to take anything away from Baylor or Michigan, they both have had great seasons. But GU just has never, outside of maybe 5 minutes over like 3 different games where they've had bad first half performances, but then they end up winning by 30 or 40. And a lot of that, I think, just has to do with the fact that they have a good combination of veteran leadership and young just studs like Jalen Suggs who refuse to lose. And again, that's a very overused term, especially here in the Northwest when the Mariners refused to lose as their entirety of the 95 season.
Oh.
But it's true. I just don't see a situation where this team gets put into a position where they either A, can't come back, or B, they get caught up. Like they do everything right. They are statistically better than every basketball team in the country, and I'm excited. And I know they have a pretty big break. They play Monday in the semifinals of the West Coast Conference tournament against a TBD opponent. Then they play Tuesday in the championship, assuming they win. Then Selection Sunday comes that Sunday, and then the NCAA tournament starts later in that week. So we're really only...
I'm always bummed out about how late into the month of March Selection Sunday always is.
I know.
I mean, it's not really March Madness. I mean, I guess it is for like 2 weeks, but I mean...
Right.
Championship's always in April, and it's like, man, we got to wait 2 weeks into March.
I know. It's crazy.
We turn from February to March, and it's like, all right,
here we go.
College basketball, let's go. And then it's like, let's wait a couple weeks.
Still, we still have Selection Sunday 2 weeks after the start of the month. And then the NCAA tournament actually doesn't start until the it's technically the start of the third week.
I think it's the 18th.
Yes, I think it's that Thursday they start down in Indianapolis. What's really unfortunate is they're not letting the cheerleaders go to the West Coast Conference tournament or the first or second round of the NCAA tournament.
Really?
That's just so dumb.
That's
really
so
dumb. We've talked plenty of
COVID,
man. But yeah, if we weren't getting a tournament, there would be riots in the streets again.
Yes.
So I think the Zags are pushing. I mean, not to put a lot of pressure on themselves, but they have to be thinking championship or bust, right?
Yeah.
They're the first undefeated team in the regular season since the 2015 Kentucky team, which was just unbelievable. And this team's arguably better statistically wise.
Yeah, you know what that Kentucky team didn't do though?
They didn't win at all.
Nope.
And so GU has a lot of pressure on them to get there, and they have a lot of downtime and a lot of what's really cool. And there's actually a story in the Spokesman today. Nice little plug there for my my employer.
Smooth.
They actually Jim Meehan did a pretty cool story. It was either yesterday or today, essentially describing how the Zags have to go about the entirety of this tournament. From last week, because they played on Saturday, so since like Monday of this week, actually, they've been in a hotel. And they will be in a hotel until after the NCAA tournament.
Oh, man.
So they're in a hotel until probably Friday, maybe tomorrow or Saturday. They're going to fly down to Vegas, stay in a hotel, not leave their room until practice, not leave their room until the game. And then when they're done down there, they go back to this hotel in Spokane, wherever they're staying. They're going to be there until Selection Sunday, and then they're going to fly to Indianapolis. They're literally not leaving their hotel rooms for 5 weeks. That's wild.
I can't fathom. That's
Imagine
brutal.
how much Xbox they're playing.
Yeah, a lot. Well,
Like,
I
that's
mean,
literally
we
all
saw
they're doing.
people were in the bubble in the NBA over the summer. So I mean, yeah.
And so we'll see. That's the big thing because the NCAA also said if you get sick, there's a COVID and you can't field the team, you're out. There's no rescheduling.
And that's how Duke's going to get in the tournament.
Right.
Some team going down with COVID. And
Right.
They're like, all right, we got our reserves.
Yep, classic.
Our 20 lost Duke team. Let's get them in there.
All right, let's spend about 8 minutes here talking about our last subject before we head on to the Jabroni closing time.
We could do that.
Our favorite topic recently, my favorite topic, talking with anybody recently, is, oh, by the way, that guy who is the announcer is Jason Benetti.
Jason Benetti.
Thanks, my buddy Scotty, for calling that out for me. Really impressive.
That is really cool.
Very cool. All right, NFL, Russell Wilson. We do not want to talk about this more, but we have to because we haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Earlier last week, he came out. It's been bad. It's been bad since the season ended because even at the end of his end-of-season press conference, he kind of called out the team.
He's like, hey, I'm not.
Yeah, he's called out the team a few times since then. Mm-hmm. And it's the NFL Network reported yesterday that the Seahawks are not happy with how this whole situation has been handled by Russell Wilson and his team.
So he basically went to them and said, hey, he went to, or like, if you want to make an analogy, going to your girlfriend and being like, hey, I'm not going to cheat on you. However, if I were to, this girl, and this girl
are just a bit hotter, too.
Yeah.
They're just a bit better looking than you. Like,
so,
I love you so much.
It was such
but
a
these four girls are just a little bit better.
Approach.
It's a very odd approach.
I think he's trying to be polite about it and not ruffle any feathers. However, he's
doing a great job at it.
Yeah.
He's doing a really good job at it.
I'll take Dak.
So his 4 teams that he said he wanted to go play for: Dallas Cowboys, the Chicago Bears, which my buddy AJ has made it very clear would be hilarious if he
I don't
got
understand why.
So I saw the report. Allegedly, he wants to go to the Bears because he wants to go to a team with such a storied history like the Bears, who have been so bad overall for 30 years or whatever it is.
I think Sierra just wants that Chicago market.
She wants a bigger market for sure, and make the Bears as good as they used to be, and bring them back from the. I've already used this word, but I'll use it again, doldrums.
Mm-hmm.
And the other team is the Saints, which makes a perfect sense on paper.
That would be such a good fit. They would be incredible. They would you would have to pencil.
They'd win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be insane.
And the Las Vegas Raiders, which only makes sense again for Sierra.
You've seen the picture that's been going around, though. It's like, why would Russ want to play for the Raiders? And it was like, I don't know, they were playing like the Broncos or somebody, and they had like 8 guys blocking, and Derek Carr.
I did see that. Yeah,
like they parted the sea. And Derek Carr just like it was not even close.
I did see that. That was pretty funny. But see, the interesting part is the Cowboys doubled down on Dak, saying Dak is our quarterback. We want to get a long-term extension done with him.
I'll take him.
Vegas said that both Gruden and Mayock, the GM, Mike Mayock, said that they have pounded the table for Derek Carr, and they don't see that changing, even though Derek Carr's older brother, David Carr.
Oh, that was rough.
Said that the Raiders should trade for Russell Wilson.
And then had to go really back weird. And like amend the article or whatever.
What an absolute idiot.
Yeah, that was rough.
Like what?
Also, I just don't think Gruden's a huge Derek Carr guy. I feel like Gruden's chomping at the bit.
I think he pretends to be. And I think he's done a good job with Derek Carr, though, because Derek Carr's had probably his best season since he's been in the NFL, outside of his first season when it was the whole AC/DC connection. With Amari Cooper.
Well, he was almost an MVP until he got injured.
Yeah.
That was wild. Yeah. Anyway.
And then he cried in London when the Seahawks played the Raiders when they hurt him.
Yeah, that was not a good look.
Not a great look. So
always wearing eyeliner. Don't trust a quarterback that wears eyeliner.
No, do not trust him. Which one? I want 2 answers here. Okay. Which one is the best fit? And we've kind of already said this. And which one is most likely to happen?
Yeah, if you plug them into New Orleans, they have to be Super Bowl or bust. Like, there's no way around it. Like, the way that roster is constructed in having Kamara and Michael Thomas and a very solid offensive line, and then you look at the defense. And
probably the best roster from top to bottom in the league.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really think there's much debate there. I would be so okay just because I'm so over this drama and just this circus that is Seattle and the power vacuum and Pete Carroll and ownership and the front office versus Russell Wilson and his wife, basically. Also, I don't think you can understate how much she has influenced his professional career ever since they've been married.
I've tried to
people push back on that though, and I don't understand it. Like, if you follow them on social media at all, or
one of those people who've been pushing back.
No.
I'm starting to feel it though.
Are you starting to? As
So,
we're about to lose our franchise quarterback. Do you believe it now?
I know, right? Do you remember when Colin Cowherd had that big news story and nobody believed him, but he said that Russell Wilson wants to go and he would love to go to the Jets or the Giants, specifically the Giants, because he wants to go to New York, because Sierra wants to go to New York.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then Cowherd doubled down on it here a couple weeks ago. He even brought it up. He said, now you guys are all looking at me and you're all realizing that that source I had was right. Like, they want a bigger market.
Yeah.
And I get it. You go back. I was actually looking up Ashton Wilson, his ex-wife.
Oh, yes.
What's really interesting, she still has an active Instagram account. Too bad she hasn't posted in 4 years since they got divorced.
Really?
It's really unfortunate.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess you sleep with Golden Tate once,
Woof.
and I don't think that actually happened, but I think it's kind of a funny story. Golden Tate got released by the Giants also.
Yeah, he did. Bring
How
him
funny
home.
would that be if
Let's
that
get
was
Golden Tate and Richard Sherman.
I
That'll
wouldn't mind.
take us to glory.
I wouldn't mind having Golden Tate, though.
I wouldn't mind having Dak Prescott. I feel
Okay,
like,
we're back on this.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like he's the best guy that we could get in return. He's younger. Obviously, he's coming off the injury. He's super talented. I think he'd be a good pairing with Metcalf and actually using Lockett. I mean, remember when Cole Beasley was a Dallas Cowboy?
I hate Cole Beasley.
Okay, all right. Sorry, didn't realize what I was opening there.
I hate Cole Beasley. I hate Adam Humphries. I hated Wes Welker. Only reason why I like Cooper Kupp is because he's over 6 foot and he's a local kid. I hate small white wide receivers.
Wow. All
Actually,
right.
It's just so funny because they shouldn't be that good. Like, they shouldn't be on a football field, and yet they dominate. Julian Edelman, perfect example. They're just so frustrating because you look at them and they're like, you're smaller than me, and you're making millions of dollars a year catching a football and making amazing plays. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola, probably two of your least favorite types of people, beat us in the Super Bowl.
For sure. But it's true, because you look at punters and kickers and you're like, that makes sense. But then you look at a little slot wide receiver and you're like, you are just can't do it.
Okay, I fall on the other side of the spectrum.
You love those guys.
I like those guys because I can
that's
resonate.
fair.
I'm like, hey, that's what I would probably look like
I could
on
do
a
that,
football
maybe.
field.
I could maybe do that.
Yeah, give me Dak.
I think
I'm just over it. They're not ever gonna fire Carroll. I think he's too established.
No, they couldn't.
Which is the wrong move because on paper, like, you should always go with Russell Wilson over Pete Carroll.
Dan Orlovsky said fire Carroll.
All right. Well, now I don't know what to think about anything.
Now you're not sure if that take is as good as you thought.
Okay.
So yeah, the best fit is for sure the Saints. The most likely, not the Saints. Saints are at the bottom of being most likely because they have 0 cap room. They would have to really get good with the books. They'd have to cook those books up. I'd say Vegas and the Bears are most likely just based off of picks, cap space, and return value. Bears would have to toss in some defense, I think.
I would love to see him play behind Jermaine Ifedi again.
That would be that's hilarious.
I would love to see that.
That's a great point. So,
I also kind of want, I'm kind of excited, if he does leave, to root against him because I just don't like him.
I would not like
There's
that.
everything
God,
about him I
hate
just
that.
like as a person.
What am I
I'm just
supposed to
like,
do with my Wilson jersey then?
I don't know.
I would cry. I wouldn't cry. I'd be really sad.
Yeah, it would be sad, but I think it's time. I honestly think it's time. Thanks for getting us to 2 Super Bowls. Thanks for winning us 1.
Go enjoy your wife.
We'll do it again.
And your
sometime.
kid and half kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wilson's being quite persnickety in my opinion.
Persnickety.
He always talks about wanting to win. Winning is the most important thing. Too bad his contract is about a fifth of the Seahawks' entire cap space.
Yeah.
When Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, he took up 0.9% of the Seahawks cap. Those were the glory days.
Those were the glory days.
So in his first 9 seasons, though, in the NFL, Russell Wilson has won more football games than any quarterback in the history of the NFL by a decent amount, by 12 games, I think.
Yeah.
If he really cared about winning, and if he really cared not about the money, like he always said, he's like, or about the team. It's always about the team. It's always about the team. It's always about winning. If that was actually the case, he wouldn't be harming the team, and he wouldn't be putting his own. You're going to win football games in Seattle. It's guaranteed. You go to the Bears, that's a big risk. You go to the Las Vegas Raiders, that's a big risk. You go to the Dallas Cowboys, that's a huge risk. The only place that he could possibly go that would be almost guaranteed the team would love him, the city would love him, he'd have success is the Saints. All 3 of the 4 teams, that's a big risk you're taking. You're going to win double-digit games in Seattle the rest of your career if you stay.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Chicago, at least they have a defense. However, the offense is definitely more anemic than what Seattle has to offer. Seattle definitely has a better offensive line than Chicago. I know that people probably scoff at the notion that Seahawks have a better offensive line than anybody, but they're really not awful, especially in comparison, to the 2016, 17, 18 year, or 18. They actually kind of rebounded. But anyway, I don't know. I'm over it. I want something to happen. I don't know what.
Fair enough. Real quick. So we did have a few comments. My buddy Josh Geiger's back in the comments. He did bring up a good point. What about Dame?
What about Dame? Being snubbed or not being a starter?
Yeah.
Like over Luka? Yeah. I think that was kind of ridiculous. I don't.
Because I agree with. He has carried that Blazers team. No, Jokic has been out the entire year. CJ McCollum has basically been out the entire year.
And Luka really hasn't
started. And of course, the world beater Zach
recently.
Collins has been out the entire year.
Oh my God, yeah, that's depressing.
It's very unfortunate for him. So that's a good point. I think Dame should have had the starting job.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Comments also think that I should start a burner account.
Definitely.
And my name should be @NotJustinReed. It should be @NotJustinReed99. It should literally be my Twitter account with the word "not" in front of it.
Perfect.
I'll go for it. All right. We have some jabronis to go over. I'll go first.
Do it.
Just because I want to. First, we're going to show a couple clips here. We'll go ahead and keep my audio on for these. We're going to first look at – it's the NBA refs again. NBA refs are massive jabronis. And we're going to start with Devin Booker, the same one that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine. We'll actually see it in video here. He got a technical foul earlier in the game. And he got a technical foul here for tossing the ball back at the official. And he ended up getting ejected at this point. So that was
I didn't see
a big ejection guy. So
that they're
here, something
called the T on him, and I
Here's
think Monty Williams still wants an explanation. Maybe this is where the first one comes.
The craziest part about this entire thing is it's the official that doesn't even get the ball bounced to him that calls the technical foul on him.
Yeah, he didn't.
The
look
other
like
official
he had any
standing
with
there
it.
like was fine, and then the official calls the tech, and he kind of looks at him like what?
Yeah. People are super fed up with the NBA.
This was the two top teams in the West. And Adam Silver is probably sitting there like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was supposed to be – this is a prime time – what was it, Tuesday night game, Monday night game, whatever it was. And he got ejected, and the Suns they had no shot at that point. No shot at that point. All right, next one here. We have J.J. Redick. I don't know when this was, actually.
Also, I think the Suns won that game. That was against the Lakers, right?
Oh, they did end up
winning.
They
did
win.
Yeah, they did.
That's surprising. They shouldn't have. So, yeah, the second one here is J.J. Redick. Same kind of situation. He got a technical foul earlier in the game. And he does this.
Oh, yeah. This was...
Whoa!
I think Josh interpreted that maybe as showing him up a little bit. But
technical foul. Get out of the game, J.J. Redick. Former co-national player of the year with Adam Morrison. And he's just out of there.
Mm-hmm.
NBA officials are soft. NBA officials don't know how to call a basketball game. NBA officials deserve to all get fired except for like 3 and bring in all new referees, all new officials, train them. Let's do it right. Let's stop calling phantom fouls. Let's stop being scared when the ball bounces to you a little too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And let's have basketball again because the officials, and it's not just the officials, it goes higher up than that, have created this culture for NBA players to be soft and NBA players to get fouls when they shouldn't get fouls, and it causes fans to not be interested. I know it doesn't make me interested sometimes because of that. So, yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Fix it.
My jabroni kind of piggybacks off yours just in the sense that the NBA kind of has a problem right now, and as you'll see, this was about a week ago, but the Denver Nuggets in the closing seconds had a fast break. They had multiple people in transition, and I forget who they were playing, but there was only, I think it was Washington. They only had one defender back, and instead of taking the ball to the basket, this happened.
Missed it. Ball batted out. Murray's got it. 5 seconds. Murray. Facu for the win. No.
God forbid they go for the tie there.
Yeah, no. In case you're down by 2, you're only allowed to shoot 3-pointers, right?
Who had the ball there?
It was Jamal Murray. And so
Jamal Murray had the ball there?
Jamal Murray had the ball. So it was partially on him because he should have taken it to the basket.
He sure should have taken it to the basket
too soon. And maybe if he had, maybe players would have followed. I don't know. But the fact that 3 guys all spread out along the 3-point, it's just, I don't really have to explain what was wrong there. If you understand anything about basketball, you understand the epidemic that is this notion that you can only shoot 3-pointers when you're down 2.
This guy was like probably arguably the best player in the bubble last season.
Yeah.
And he does that? I didn't see that. That's bad.
It was really bad.
That's
He came out and said, hey, I got to do a better job. So he acknowledged it.
Oh, thanks, dude. A little too late there.
Anyway.
Would have loved to go to OT.
NBA in an interesting position
huge
right
nutshell,
now. Yeah.
Like that is literally what the NBA does. They have no cognizant ability.
No, it's a microcosm of like the problems that exist in the NBA right now. Yeah.
You look at a college basketball team and they're tying that ball game up and they're going into overtime.
Well, I don't know because it's starting to trickle down to college basketball
a little bit.
lot.
But see, I think that's what makes GU so good is because GU is so fundamentally sound. They beat teams that are wild. You watch some of these teams, even Michigan and Baylor a little bit, but definitely teams like 5 through 10 are just so wild. Like they just have no skill. They have no ability to think about the next pass.
They don't move the rock.
No, not at all.
What's your closing time?
My closing time here.
Or do you want to go?
Go ahead and go first.
Okay, I thought this was kind of interesting. So Barstool, you could go ahead throw it up. But Barstool, top 10 Darty jerseys. You ever do a day party? I just thought it was kind of interesting.
I obviously have not. I've never heard that term.
What?
I guess
I'm
really?
Out
of the loop. I've
okay,
never
so
heard
number
Darty.
9 being Jacoby Ellsbury, but like in the Yankees uniform is what cracked me up. It's
That's
just
hilarious.
the disrespect. And also Lamar Odom being on there, Jason Campbell with the Chicago Bears. I just this list made me laugh. Just all of
that's
the
hilarious, but that's spot on. Those top 2 are
and
spot
Mono
on.
Ginobili in a USA jersey. So it was a good laugh. I really appreciated that.
That's really funny. I
don't
didn't
do
see that.
darties. Wasn't in a frat, but good to know that those are the sort of threads that you should be donning when you go to a darty. So
That's super funny.
yeah.
My buddy here, he said, Colton Moore, he said, "Hi boys, Justin, you're a stud." So I mean, I don't want to say like he
You are a
didn't
stud.
say anything about Andrew Tenney.
That's okay.
But that's okay. Where are your
Sorry.
buddies at? Are they going to text you or something?
My buddies don't like sports.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
How do
it's
you
brutal.
How do you survive?
I do the show.
I do that. And fantasy football with people you don't really know.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I have kind of a funny story that I saw last night that made me kind of chuckle because it's the most this player's thing to do in my opinion because I don't know why. Go ahead and toss this guy's photo up for me. This was 2 years ago. This is our boy Albert Pujols, first ballot Hall of Famer, absolute hitting machine, very frustrating player to play against at the beginning of his 10-year contract with the Angels. It seemed like he always hit home runs against us. That guy right there, how old would you say he is in that photo?
43.
43?
I don't know.
That's fine. I mean,
He's at least 40.
Yeah, he's definitely in his 40s, right? So on his baseball reference page, everybody knows Albert Pujols to be 44 years old right now. Or wait, no, sorry, 41 years old is what it says.
Okay.
Albert Pujols, there was a story last night, ex-Miami Marlins president said that everybody in baseball knows that Albert Pujols lies about his age. Everybody knows it. That they did their research when he became a free agent after his time with the Cardinals, that they wanted to sign him, so they decided to look into it a little bit more. And there was a time when Albert Pujols was in an interview talking about how he hit a home run off of Octavio Dotel when he was 13 years old is what he said. And he described his first ever home run. And then he says, and we go back, 28 years later, and here I am. So using that math, it said that he was 41. Unfortunately, at the time of this story, he was only like 38 listed. And then everybody else also, so it was Samson. David Samson was the former Marlins president. He literally said, there is not one person in baseball, not one executive who believes Albert Pujols is the age that he says he is. The amount of fraud that was going on in the Dominican back in the day, the changing of names, the changing of birthdays, it would blow your mind. So I went and looked. There's actually a lot of cases with that. Wandy Rodriguez lied about his age, said he was 19. Said he was 17 and that he threw in the mid-80s, which when you're 19 is not that impressive. A 17-year-old, not too bad. So he changed his name. He stole an identity, Jose de Jesus Ortiz, and then he borrowed the identity until he got drafted or until he got signed. Then he became Wandy Rodriguez again. And then Enny Cabrera, that was another one. Another one was Miguel Tejada. He said he was 17 when he was actually 19 to land a contract with the Oakland Athletics in 1993. Miguel Tejada ended up going on to destroy the Mariners for plenty of years after that. So I just thought it was super interesting, first off, that it's Albert Pujols, because Albert Pujols is, again, one of the greatest players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's that old. Let's say he actually is as old as he says he is. He's still putting up decent numbers.
Yeah, being as productive as he is, yeah.
So this is his last year of a 10-year massive deal he signed with the Los Angeles. I'm surprised he made it all the way through. Probably
me too. Me too.
I mean,
man.
he just can't run anymore. He literally does nothing. He just hits, and then he gets pitch ran all the time late in the game. So cool for Albert Pujols for being able to cheat the system. I love it.
Right, yeah,
Those Dominicans, they know how to do it. That's for sure. Really good baseball players. Albert Pujols, one of the most famous of all time. Toss to Nelson Cruz, Robinson Cano, who's suspended right now. Dominican Republic. Let's go. Mariners actually have a sweet. When I went to the Dominican a couple of years ago, and I wanted to go check out the Mariners. They have a facility down in the Dominican.
Okay.
So awesome for Albert Pujols. Awesome for the Seattle Mariners. I wish, but that's okay. So, are we going to be back next week?
We're going to be back.
We're going to be back next week. Another 10 o'clock-ish showtime. 36th edition of the Locker Room. You excited?
I am.
Another big week of sports. You going to watch more NHL?
Yeah, I probably should. Yeah,
you
just
should.
keep up with you. Yeah,
with the Kraken coming up, you got to, right?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
Right. Yeah, right there. Big Seattle Kraken guys. All right. That was the Locker Room. We will see you back again next week. Same time, same place. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for watching The Locker Room on Spokane Talks. Check us out on Facebook as well as our other platforms. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation by emailing us at info@SpokaneTalksOnline.com. And for more sports news, opinions, and content, follow Justin and me on Twitter.